What's up, everybody, and welcome to Pangeekery Podcast, a weekly live video podcast celebrating all things geek from an all-diverse perspective. And what we do here is we talk about all the cool things in the geek universe. We're going to talk about movies, TV, film, video games, all the nooks and crannies of geekdom. My name is Earl Balon, and I didn't think of a question today, so oh well.
No, come up with something.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. The first anime I ever watched was Robotech.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jennifer Zhang. I am an actor, writer, person.
You're a person?
Sometimes. But the first anime I ever watched, was probably like... No, that was not the first one I watched.
Right.
I think it was something on one Saturday morning, which might have been I don't know, Pokemon or Sabrina the Teenage Witch or something like
Sailor
that.
Moon was before Pokemon.
Yeah,
So.
Pokemon.
Oh, hi, I'm Kaitlyn Faye. I'm a director, writer, actor, and a singer. And my first anime was this show called Grimm's Fairy Tales.
Oh, I remember that.
Fairy Tale,
Yeah. On Nick?
Na 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 come along
and
na na na.
We're both
Come
sure this.
along.
So put it on the Pangeekery
Yeah.
on the Pangeekery list.
I liked it because whenever characters cried, their eyes would get really shiny and shimmery,
Right.
like diamonds in their
I
eyes.
remember that.
I was like, it's so pretty.
I remember it was really dark too. They kind of didn't pull punches.
I would got really depressed
It
after
was like
some
rose
episodes.
red. Oh my God. All right, sorry.
Very dark.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Walter. I'm an editor and adventurer. I'll add that one.
You're always something new every episode. Sometimes you're a camera.
whatever.
I'm a stack of tacos.
Well, yeah. We just have to let people tune in.
Show off
They'll be
now?
like, yeah, it's just different. My first anime, Transformers count, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I told you.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Takara.
Transformers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, welcome to episode 31 of Pangeekery.
Yay!
We got a lot of stuff going on today. Mostly we're going to be talking about Star Wars, which is super cool. I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors, our location sponsor, PWC, that's Filipino Workers Center. Hit them up in this beautiful space. Hit them up online at pwcsc.org.
Yes.
Good job,
I got
Earl.
it.
You said Star
Yeah.
Wars, and me and Jen eyed each other knowingly.
We
I
were
know you
just
did.
like-
I felt it in the back of my head. I felt it.
The pressure.
So we are going to be talking about catching up on Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, and The Mandalorian. Those are the major things we're going to talk about. So what has everybody been up to lately this past week?
Well, I just finished tech rehearsal for Man of God at the
Woo!
Geffen, and we are starting performances, previews tomorrow.
Nice.
Wow.
And then it'll be 6 days out of the week, just nonstop performing, and weekends have 2 performance days. And I'm getting sadder as I say this. It's a joyous experience, though. It really is. I'm very blessed.
Jen, it's
I
gonna
love
be
it
awesome.
so much.
Quite
It's
tired.
going to be awesome, Jen.
But it's good. Tech has been awesome. Long hours, but I'm glad that's over. I really don't mean to sound unappreciative or sad, but I am really excited about it, and I hope you go see it.
Yay.
Check it out, y'all.
You guys are all going to go see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will totally come see it. I just panic when anybody ever asks me about scheduling stuff. So yeah.
I shot a music video last night in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
Whoa.
should all come to my apartment. My room has been renovated. It's like step-inable now. Like you can live and breathe in it.
What?
And there's
Really?
posters on the wall. Yeah, and we have lights and curtains and teddy bears. It looks cute.
Yeah.
So what's your song?
The song is K by Cigarettes After Sex, which is a really cool band. You guys should check them out. And yeah, I've been cooking more, so come over and eat my food. Yeah.
She has an
All right,
instant
all
pot
right.
now.
Yes.
right.
And
Ooh.
it's
Yeah.
pressure cooker.
Oh, okay. Oh, what have I been up to? I got sick, so I wasn't training in jiu-jitsu for a while. And then I went back, and I got hurt the very first day.
no.
I hate
Oh my
that.
God.
I got a cut above my eyes.
Show us.
It's here, but it's behind my eyebrows. It's pretty much healing. So,
Oh.
but it was just really. I was just like,
Fake
damn it.
news.
Yeah. But this weekend, pretty awesome weekend. Got to meet and interview Congressman Ted Lieu.
Yeah.
So if you
pictures,
guys
right.
check out some of the photos I put on my IG, Man of Tales, and then I went to check out the Bernie Sanders rally.
Woo!
Nice.
Got to listen to Public Enemy and later on today, I learned the news that they fired Flava Flav.
Flavor
I saw that. It was like the
Yeah.
first thing on my Twitter.
Because we were wondering where he was, and I was
Right.
like, "Oh, okay, that answers my question."
This week, let's see. I don't know what I did. But the feature film that I am associate producing and have a supporting role in, Lumpia, finally has a release-ish date.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the next couple of months. We are, after 7 years, I know. I've been
Yeah,
working
I
on it
saw
since
AJ's
2013.
story.
I know, man. Oh my God. There's so many VFX shots. I was just looking at. I'm not working on any of that. It gives me a headache looking at it. But yeah. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to Patricio and AJ and the rest of the Kid Heroes crew. It's finally happening, y'all. Kaitlyn, you you went to a bar and a certain person was there.
Oh
Who?
yeah.
Who was there?
I don't know.
Oh.
I was just-
Well, I have Jen to thank for this
Right.
encounter. She messaged a few of us saying that Lulu Wong, director of The Farewell, was going to be at Auburn Bar on Melrose Avenue about a week or so ago. And
For her birthday.
yes. Oh, for her. Yes, for her birthday. Yeah. And I showed up. Am I telling the whole story online or on,
well,
on
I
the
mean,
air?
like I guess
The wrapped up version?
Yeah,
Okay,
wrapped up
okay.
version.
So I show up around 6 p.m. They're only supposed to go till 9. They say it's going to take 2 hours to get in and it's freezing. So I leave. Come back around 9 thinking, but what if I'm the last person in line? There's no one behind me. And I end up getting in.
You actually got in.
Yes. And so I waited patiently my turn. I got a drink and I got there and she was there. She's very tiny. She had a Kodak camera because she's artsy like that. And she said, okay, you're my last person. Okay, take a picture with me. So we took a picture together. Then she goes, all right, what's your question? And I said, Lulu, oh, no, I didn't say it like this. I said, you have 3 options, 3 men. Of these 3 men, you're going to kill one, you're going to marry one. And then her friend, Franklin Leonard, who is the founder of The Blacklist, was there. He goes, oh, kill, fuck, marry. And then she's like, okay, what is it? I said, okay, kill, fuck, marry, John Cho, Stephen Yoon, and
Henry
Henry
Golding.
Golding of Crazy Rich Asians. At first I said Charles Melton. She didn't know who that was. Shame.
How
Lulu.
can you not?
So I said those 3 and then she was like, oh my God, okay. My answer
But-
stays here.
okay.
Yeah.
But
She's
you
like,
can't say the
of
answer."
course. No. It's a secret.
Secret.
So she's like, okay, my answer stays here. I'm not gonna tell you better not tell anyone. So I just realized I was about to say what she just said. No, but it's a secret. Okay, so I can't say.
Draw that line.
I can't say.
Which
her
is why I
answer.
just said
Yeah. I'm glad you reminded her.
Okay, yeah. Well, so I know her answers, and
Yeah, we don't know it.
she was like, "That's the best last question I've ever had," and then Franklin was like, "That is the best last question you've ever had." So he
And-
tweeted it, and he tagged like John Cho, Henry Golding, and Stephen Yoon on Twitter. And then she like leaned across the bar and yelled to all these drunk people, and she told them a question, and they were all drunk and laughing. Her friend comes in, her friend finds out, starts laughing. And then she takes more pictures of me, and
She like
on my
retweeted to
merry way.
Yeah.
retweeted to Milton and be like, she didn't know. Who you were.
Who are you?
And then as soon as
I-
Kaitlyn tells me the story, I promptly cry because I was just so sad that I missed out.
I mean, it was fun,
because
but
I
it
was in
wasn't
tech.
like, oh my God, this is like an opportunity of a lifetime. I literally was just asking.
You
dumbass
say that,
questions.
but
Yeah.
you were
But it
there
was a
in the
great-
presence of
I just
Lulu.
wonder how many of our audience members or anyone who watches it, even on YouTube, like what's their choice. So comment below.
Comment below, comment in the chat, comment your answers.
Yeah.
Also, what's up
Men
to chat?
too. Yeah.
What's up to chat?
Hi, chat.
So who would you fuck, marry, and kill, Walter, of the 3?
All of them.
At the same time.
Kill them. Fuck them. Kill them by
in
fucking them.
reverse order.
And then marry him.
Marry them.
Kill them, fuck them, and then marry them.
How does that work?
Oh, I know people. There's a lot of true crime that happens. Anyway, I'm sorry. Went to a very dark place just now. What's up to chat again? Everybody, if you have any questions or you want to berate me for what I just said, go ahead. But we'll be jumping into chat, see what you guys are all saying. So yeah, a lot of stuff happened in terms of Star Wars during our hiatus, so we're going to try to catch up on all that stuff. First of all, I don't know. All right, let's do do we want to end happy or do we want to end sad?
We want to end happy, all right?
All right, let's talk about TROS first.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah. So the first thing that Mandalorian came out first, but the big thing, kind of the tentpole thing that happened over our hiatus is The Rise of Skywalker came out.
Episode
Yay!
9.
Episode 9. So we actually all saw that together. Most of us
Mostly
did.
the most part, yeah.
Most of us.
Yes.
What did everybody think?
Crickets.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I enjoyed about 70% of it.
I would say the same for me as well.
I'd give it I enjoyed it 85%.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Wow, you sound very skeptical for like
Yeah,
an
I was like,
85.
because I was gonna give it 90, but I'm like, but I was like 85 is a good fair.
So anyway, just quick rundown of TROS. TROS is the last movie in the current trilogy of Star Wars sequel movies. It wraps up. It is episode 9. It wraps up hopefully the entire Skywalker storyline that goes way back to the prequels, of course. I can't even remember what happened in it.
Well, we finally learned of
Right.
Rey's parentage. We learn about, what happens to Kylo Ren,
Right.
and what happens to the First Order, right? The fall of the First Order and
Right.
the Rebel Alliance and whatnot. Now that Leia is gone, right? So a number of things happen.
A lot of things happen.
I saw this really fitting meme
Right.
that was The Last Jedi. Maybe she's born with it. TROS. Maybe it's Palpatine.
Oh.
You're right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I mean, you could feel.
Whatever. We've always been a spoiler zone here,
Yeah.
So
Well, that was
spoilers
kind of
abound.
the first thing that we learned, right? It was that she's Palpatine's granddaughter. I mean, we learned
It wasn't the first thing we learned.
pretty
It was.
early on in the
No,
film,
they
right?
established at the beginning Palpatine is back.
All right,
somehow.
Palpatine is back.
But we didn't know
in
that
the
was
opening crawl.
Yeah, in the opening
Yeah.
crawl. My eyes rolled into my
Yeah.
skull when
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, how convenient.
Yeah,
Right.
I think the reveal of her being Palpatine was like after the halfway
Right.
point.
Yep. Well,
No, it's
when she
late in the film, you guys.
Well, when
Like
she shot the
3/4.
sparks.
it's late in the film when we find out that she's right. Isn't it?
Yeah, but like the hints earlier on, like
Oh.
when she and Kylo Ren were using force to like control the ship
Force.
in the sky,
Right.
there were like purple lightning strikes that came out of her
There's a
hand,
lot of foreshadowing,
which was very
stuff,
like,
right?
yeah.
And there was this whole MacGuffin chase for a little bit with the Sith holocrons. That both kind of
I don't even remember that part.
Yeah.
What?
because
Slip
so
holocrons?
everybody was trying to find. This was part of the opening crawl. Everybody was trying to find Palpatine because he had returned.
Yeah, how? Anyways.
They all find. Well, I have news on that
Okay.
because like what happened is recently they just released a novelization of TROS and it answers a few questions. Probably not as satisfying as people would like, but
Yeah.
in beginning of TROS, it is said that they track him to a planet called Exegol. And the
Okay.
only way that you can find Exegol is through these Sith holocrons.
Right.
Two of which exist.
The crystal things.
Oh, right, right.
And then you have to
right,
like
yeah.
interlink it with your ship or whatever and like this thing. So there's that hunt. They try to go find, Rey tries to find a holocron. And at the same time, Kylo is looking for the same thing.
Right.
Their motives, of course, are different, but they eventually end up on Exegol, and it shows that Palpatine has created a new Imperial armada.
Which was all those ships that
All
you
the
saw in the sky,
destroyers, right.
Imperial
I
ships
thought
in the
he
sky.
died at the end of.
Well, did we want to talk about this?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
let's talk about it.
Well, so like I was reading a couple of articles today about the
Me too.
the novelization, and basically, the novelizations say outright, or like pretty much that. You remember when we get to Exegol, and then there's like the lab, and
There's
there
the
are, like,
wires.
the wires,
and the
but there
chair.
are also like vats of clones.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine is one of them. He's a clone.
They're saying that, okay, so there's an article that I'm reading right now,
Right.
actually on Forbes, that is saying like the only like viable choice for him being alive is that he is a clone that was
Right.
intending to regenerate himself in the same way that Voldemort was regenerating himself through Horcruxes. But
Right.
that doesn't explain the fact, because they said that Rey is Palpatine's blood daughter. In which case
blood
it's
granddaughter,
like
right.
blood granddaughter. In which case we had to have had a living heir, and therefore
Right.
like that kind of nipped itself in the bud. So it's kind of like a hard,
Well,
you know.
Like who-
Palpatine, because all right, so TROS takes place 35 years after the Battle of Yavin, right? Which is what happens at the end of
Last Jedi.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so, I mean, it's completely within the realm of possibility that
Yeah.
Palpatine did like procreate between then.
Wait, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. Going back to that.
Yeah.
So is still a theory that he's a clone, or people are saying he is a clone?
He's a clone. It's in the novelization,
Oh, okay.
the official novelization.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're also saying that Snoke could potentially be a failed clone attempt of Palpatine.
Right, just one that
Yeah.
was unable to hold the dark side.
Which is why he was like malformed.
Let go of
and
your
that- I
Because-
thought he was just an alien, but I guess
I think like in previous, like maybe in The Last Jedi or something, you also see that Snoke has some of that like clone gadgetry like
on his
behind
back.
him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like on his back. So that might
It's
be the
viable.
time factor.
It's so weird because, like, I know even if we go back and we watch the original trilogy, that there's a lot of stuff that isn't explained, like who these people are, where they're from, what their backstory is. But I mean, I feel even more lost than I did when I watched.
Yeah, I mean,
Same.
I was
Same.
really, and I would think that if it was a clone,
Right.
that the Palpatine clone would look younger.
I was gonna say that doesn't make
So
sense.
that's why it makes me think it's the actual Palpatine. Like they just recovered his body and then
Right.
that's why he's hooked up to the machines.
No,
basically, a
Walter.
life
Star
support.
Wars just doesn't know how cloning works. That was my explanation. I'm like,
What's
that's
up
not
to
how
Aaron
cloning works.
in the chat? What's up, Aaron?
Hi, Aaron.
Thanks for being there.
Yeah, and to me, it's just like, okay, if he's a clone, then he should be younger.
Yeah.
Then, like,
Right. Like I
should
would
be like
choose
a
to be
35-year-old.
old ass,
Yeah, it's
my
like,
old
oh,
ass self,
we
right?
want to age you
Like,
because we want you to be age appropriate Palpatine.
wait, what if he is like that age? Just the
dark side has
Sith
corrupted
people
him.
look older, you know. Just like
Well-
they have, he has fangs and all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
He's been corrupted by the dark side.
Yeah, that's what I
or
mean.
it
Maybe-
could just be a failure in the cloning process. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that you can do. The
I mean,
headcanon
it's
is.
all this what ifs and.
Go on
Right.
and
I
explain.
I mean, I know the people
Yeah.
that mans those ship. They were saying are actual clones of something or
Right.
someone
Yeah.
of either him or all the
Yeah.
stormtroopers in Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel so much about like these new Star Wars movies, like the trajectory of them, as I feel about the later Game of Thrones series. In that, I mean, but I mean, I enjoy the Star Wars ones a lot more because I feel like there's a lot more room for error, and like I relinquished my expectations and I actually
Right.
just allowed myself to be entertained. For Game of Thrones, my expectations were way higher, but I feel like in the same way.
Right.
Sorry, just to finish the point.
Yeah.
I feel like so many of these elements are shoehorned in, and the elements that really did not need elaboration get a lot of elaboration, but the elements that we really want to know are really just shoved in the background and left for assumption.
Right.
You know, which is like so unsatisfying. And like, you know, part of it was also due to, you know, like tag teaming between different directors and writers in the whole process
Ooh.
between that 7, 8, and 9.
The whole thing is, well, kind of lend to that is they didn't have a roadmap for any of
and
this.
that was my
The mystery box writing.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, most of that movie is just J.J. Abrams just trying to recorrect or go up against
Course correct.
course correct.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Ryan
Ian
Johnson.
Ryan Johnson.
But going back, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. So is like the main producer behind all this Kaitlyn Kennedy, or who's like the person in charge? Because it's not George Lucas anymore.
No,
who's in charge of
he's
these
been off the
things.
property for a long
Okay,
time.
so whoever
There
the
is no,
executive
like-
producers, well, whoever masterminded this. It
It
is
is
Kaitlyn
Kaitlyn
Kennedy.
Kennedy,
Yeah,
alright.
do my nerd news. Okay, so Kaitlyn Kennedy was like, I want to remake Star Wars, or I want
Right.
to continue Star Wars. How am I going to do this? And then she's like, I know, I'll get some directors,
Right.
a different director for each movie of a trilogy. We're not going to write a story. We'll just have the directors write a story for each movie. And they're not going to communicate with each other. They're just going to do their own
so
version.
weird.
Go. You know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
like, what possessed you to believe that would be a good idea?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well,
Imagine
we're
trying
not
to
sure
write Harry
about-
Potter without
yeah.
J.K. Rowling. Just like, let's have a different writer for every movie.
I mean, but for the Harry Potter movies, there were also different writers and different directors.
But
No,
they
but
had
it's
a
all J.K.
roadmap in
Rowling.
the
They have a
books.
roadmap.
Yeah.
Just
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah, you would think with Marvel being there, they'd be like, "Hey guys,
They
this is
were
how
looking at
Marvel's
Kevin
doing
Feige.
it."
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean.
let's do
What
that.
were they thinking? I don't understand.
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, like, a lot of that stuff is all backroom.
Yeah,
Right. There,
And I mean,
there are many elements that go into it, probably.
Right.
even what's crazy is that just letting J.J. Abrams. Abrams. Sorry,
Abram.
Abrams.
One singular, Abram.
Yeah,
Just
just
one
one of them.
The one
Not the
Abram.
clones.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can I have one Abram?
J.J. Abrams, just having him like redo or course correct what Ryan Johnson did. That's kind of. I mean, I don't know. I feel like okay. So sorry, it's been done.
Yeah.
Just work within those bounds.
Right. But I feel like the studio must have gotten skittish because like the backlash was so
It was
big
so bad. Yeah.
to The Last Jedi.
But I also knew a lot of people who loved The Last Jedi.
It's a
Yes.
super polarizing film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
super
they don't
polarizing.
want polarizing. They want
Yeah.
massive success.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if they got in this latest one.
Yeah.
I think it got the lowest ranking out of
Did
all
it?
of them. It got very low ratings comparatively. Yeah.
I didn't even
So-
bother looking.
I mean, can you
Yeah,
just
no, it's
imagine
confirmed.
like the first meeting that J.J. Abrams had for this latest movie?
Right.
He's like, okay, guys, Ryan Johnson fucked up my film. We're going to clear the slate and start the fuck over. Forget everything that last guy did.
That's what
Fuck
it felt like.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
what it felt
well,
like.
No. I think it's proven
Clear,
that it
right?
is. That
Yeah.
is what happened.
He was like, just
but I would
clear
be
it up.
like, if I don't know. I feel like Kathleen Kennedy should have been like, well, you shouldn't have left then, huh? Now work within these
But
bounds.
did he leave? I thought it was like a contract thing. You only get a new director per movie. I don't think he left. Did he?
Oh.
I don't
I
think,
think
he
he
left.
chose another project or something
but
like
that
that.
was the deal.
I think what it was they offered it to him and he declined.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they brought in Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is
Okay.
kind of an Abrams-y thing to do.
That's what I'm saying. Like, then don't get mad with what
true. Yeah.
what happens
Ryan
in
Johnson
the,
did.
while
Yeah, you
while
should have said yes then if you're gonna course correct the.
It's
But
weird
I-
because
But I think it also goes to what you were saying earlier, Kaitlyn. It's like, at least with George Lucas, there was a singular vision. With
Right.
Harry Potter, there's a singular vision. This is done basically like a corporate,
Well,
corporate
but I mean,
think tank,
the thing was-
focus groups almost, right? Where it's like
right,
they're testing it out. They're like, oh, let's try it. And so that
I mean, they didn't have a
that
Kevin
role-
Feige.
they didn't.
Yeah,
And-
they didn't have one
but-
guy like Feige to like really oversee it. Where Kathleen Kennedy was like supposed to, but she was more of like, okay,
She's also not a writer.
yeah,
Right. Also, Abrams was supposed to be this in the beginning. That was the plan. Whenever when this first trilogy got
Yeah.
He was
announced,
supposed to be the.
he was going to take care of all three.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Because wasn't he supposed to be kind of like the executive
exactly.
producer
Executive
kind
producer,
of thing?
'cause
Like
he had carte blanche to write whatever movie he wanted.
But and he didn't leave some field notes behind
I don't
for
know.
Johnson. He
I
was
don't
like, he
know.
wasn't giving him some clues, like, oh, make sure you address this. Like,
I have no
nothing?
idea.
The more I think about it, and like I've read several articles about it, and I know people hated on Ryan Johnson's the direction he was going,
Right.
but the more I think about it, the more I really like Ryan Johnson's where he was going, and I'm just sad that it
It
wasn't
didn't get
explored.
somewhere right. Okay.
And J.J. Abrams just kind of like shut it down.
I honestly did want to see like the fruition of what was laid in TLJ.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to know what happened to this stuff, even if it wasn't like
Like
whatever. If I didn't necessarily like the direction it took within the film, I wanted to see it paid off.
yeah, I mean, because for Ryan Johnson's version, like I do like the fact that he like the fact that he was kind of democratizing the Force. It's not just
Right.
this elite family Palpatine.
That
and
was actually way more
Skywalkers.
fascinating to me.
Yeah,
than
It was.
and I
being
wanted it to
Palpatine.
pay off I was hoping it would pay off in
And we had that little like snippet at the end that was like it
Yeah.
felt very
and
hallmarky.
then
Yep.
nothing
Right.
happened. And then also in the last one that nothing happened with Finn and Rose. And I mean,
Rose was completely.
Oh my
Rose
God,
was, like,
Rose
really
the F
thrown
out of that
under
film.
the bus, man.
and it was just like
They might as well have not included her, right?
Right.
I would rather she
Yeah.
not be in there at all.
No,
than
I'm sure
slap
she
her in the
still
face.
appreciates the pay.
I know. Shout out to Kelly Marie
Give
Tran.
out.
What's
You
up?
know, Kelly.
I don't know. I feel like that was like also a box office
Mm-hmm.
decision because it's like, oh, like she got so much hate after The Last Jedi.
Well, it's not her
It's
fault.
so sad. It's not her
Yeah.
fault.
It's not.
And
But the studios threw her under the bus.
Well, yeah, and that's messed up that they didn't
Twice.
support her, like back
Yeah.
her up, and like, oh no, you know what? Here's more of it,
Yeah.
and like because still people watched it, and like there's still a large amount of fans who wanted to see it, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quick in chat, Lint324, Finn and Poe forever. Yeah.
I would rather see that.
Right.
Honestly.
I know a lot of people
Finn and
are
Poe.
like shipping that. So
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
A lot of fan
But
art.
if they can't handle Rose and Finn, you think the
right, I know. I know.
uproar between Finn and
The
Poe.
weird thing with that is then in this latest movie, they kept bringing back some of that old Ray Finn romance.
Yep.
Like where Ray's gonna die or Finn's gonna die, and then he wants to tell Ray
Right.
something, but then he doesn't tell her.
You know what it
Yeah.
is? What I heard, I think I read an article.
You got friend zoned.
No. It was friend zone doesn't exist.
Thank you.
The friend zone doesn't exist. The
Comment below if you agree or disagree.
Yeah,
This is news to me.
that shit
This is
doesn't
news
exist.
to me. Okay.
So the what was I going to say? Finn and Poe. Oh, he was going to tell her that he's force sensitive.
Whoa, watch that.
don't
watch
slam
the
our
slamming.
table.
Sorry.
Right.
I don't know. I'm still stuck
I'm
on
not sure.
what zone I've been in
Why?
all these
Why does it
times.
matter? Why does it matter?
If friend zone doesn't exist. Okay.
So we do have to talk about Raylo though. So do you think
Oh,
think Raylo was like a box office kind of decision, or was it something that was warranted in like
Thank
the
you, Tony
trajectory of the
Beans.
story?
Well, as someone who has tracked Raylo from day one,
I've shipped
Juan.
Raylo
Yes.
since day
Juan.
one, but
I did
You're
notice.
going to be so mad at what I say after
Hold
this. but Go ahead.
on,
I know.
Earl.
Go ahead.
So back in The Force Awakens, when they first meet, he does his little Jedi mind trick on her and she passes out. And I, like many Redditors and YouTubers, noticed,
He drugged her?
no, he picks her up. Instead of throwing her over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes or having one of his stormtroopers carry her to the ship, he carries her bridal style. And the fact that she's wearing white only enforces that image. And your girl knew from even back then. I'm like, I think there's going to be a thing between them.
But everyone wasn't sure if they were brothers and sisters like in the books.
No,
too,
it's not
so-
going to be
Yeah.
like that. It's
Right, if-
like
Everyone
Phantom of
says-
the Opera. You know?
at the very least, I'm actually glad that they had him, turn towards the light side and actually,
Oh, dude.
it was like a more, I don't know.
Why are you smiling?
So I remember the showing that I went to
Yeah.
when at the end when they kissed.
Right.
There were like these two girls next to me that like screamed like crazy.
Are they sitting
wait,
next
it was Jen and Kaitlyn.
So
Got him.
So I'm smiling because I
I was like, he's home with us. What showing is he talking
Wait,
about?
like which one?
I dislike Kylo Ren the entire time.
That's fine.
I love Ben Solo.
I love Ben Solo too.
Yeah.
Ben Solo is the shit.
I'm glad that he got actually a very honorable death.
Right.
And I'm glad that Rey didn't like fall for Kylo Ren. You know what I mean? Because that would have been a very toxic and abusive relationship. But the thing is, like, they didn't have a relationship. It was more of like they've had a connection since the start. Like there's magnetism there. There's a yin and yang, right? Like that's what they represent. And so like at the very end, the fact that they can be on the same page together is like a very beautiful moment until he has to leave. So I thought it was really well done. In some ways, I would compare it to like, again, like Game of Thrones. Like, even though we all knew that Jon Snow and Daenerys were going to get together at some point, the way they got together was actually like, okay, they handled that pretty well.
Right, you wanted to
even
see
though
how
it
it
was like
happened.
forced together, but
Right.
I'll accept it.
Speaking of which, so it's like we were talking about that, like there's no person mapping
Right.
this story, right? So I just wonder, at what point did they decide, like, yeah, they're not gonna be brother, sister, or cousins, or second step brother, step. They're gonna be two separate people, and they're two, like, one is Palpatine, the other Skywalker.
Oh.
You know, because I think, like, in the beginning, people were like
Right.
wondering, like, oh, they have that connection. They're able to telepathically link because they're probably twins, or they might
They're
be.
a force dyad.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
what is the official explanation?
What is it?
They're a force dyad.
Dyad.
I thought it was intergalactic Skype.
Yes, both. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
same thing.
It's like I
That's
think
the layman term.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's a common term, and then there's like the taxonomic thing. It's yeah.
So
Force dyad and
in
intergalactic
Skype, yeah.
FaceTime, space time.
Also, hand sex.
So that's
Hand sex.
So that's why when they're talking to each other, there's a Skype symbol.
So the thing that I was going to say is like because I was bringing up the novelizations, and in the novelizations they not explicitly, but they heavily imply that the kiss is non-romantic.
Which one? The
Rey
last
love
the
kiss.
final.
The
yeah.
final kiss is not romantic.
Yes.
I
You
think I
just
saw.
kiss your brother all the
I
time.
saw Tom,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. Or your sister.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just kiss each other on the cheek or the forehead or shake hands or
Well, I
hug?
don't
They,
know.
like, hugged.
I don't know.
Why the
I'm-
lips?
I'm not saying I have an answer. I'm just saying this was, what was like presented in.
No.
This
There's
in
always
the
like
novelization.
magnetic sexual energy between. He takes off his helmet for the first time in front of her.
I'm just saying this is in the
That's
novelization.
symbolic.
The
takes a
official
piece of clothing off.
novelization.
Yeah.
His
says-
shirt is off, and she asks him, "Could you put something on?" You know, like
I'm feeling
And
something.
he knew that he knew that the Skype would come on at this time. Like, let's leave
Exactly.
it honest.
Shirt caught me shirtless. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
And he's like,
He was waiting.
Yeah.
He was waiting for that.
lifting weights,
Like chat
ready for
roulette
that
style.
chat.
He was just-
That, like,
He's doing
come
that.
on.
Rail nipples.
Don't
Okay.
mind me.
Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to press the green button.
Let's talk about something else that.
I could talk about this for days.
Yeah,
Hey.
we
Me
really
Me and
could.
Jen, we want what is it? We want some type of fan fiction.
Slash fic.
Fan friction.
Fan
Slash fic.
friction.
I can't talk. Slash fic. It's what for archive of your own is for, right? Speaking of, apropos of nothing, Mandalorian. Yeah.
Mando.
Mando. Din
Mando.
Djarin.
And Baby Yoda.
Right. People like to call it the Baby Yoda show. So everybody's seen it at this table.
Yes.
Yes.
Most of it, yeah.
What did everybody think about Mandalorian?
I loved it.
Well, first off, I think like thematically they made the Mandalorian very kind of like stoic and like reticent, you know, and like since like Baby Yoda doesn't speak or anything, and
Right.
most of the land is like barren and whatnot, like they actually heavily rely on a lot of like nonverbal storytelling, which I think
Which
is actually very
great.
clever.
I love it.
You know, and like Pedro Pascal's
Great.
acting behind a helmet all the time is actually very expressive.
Yes.
And like that
Yeah.
shows a lot of skill on an actor's part to
Absolutely.
like carry a whole series not seeing their face, you know?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Viper.
Speak it
Yeah.
again. The Viper. Yes. The Viper.
Shout out to Lint again. Yeah, Matt, the radar technician, is greater than Ben Solo.
Ben Solar.
Ben Solo is greater than Kylo
Solar
Ren.
panels.
Matt.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You guys need to watch that video. It's hilarious.
Undercover bosses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mandalorian. It was. I really like the 30-minute format or less than 30 minutes, like a spaghetti western.
Right.
Yeah.
Reminded me of Firefly, kind
It's
of.
very Firefly.
Yeah,
in
it's
terms
I mean
of
Old West kind of. Yeah.
building kind of
The
feel in
frontier.
Yep,
He lives in the
They've got
frontier.
that cowboy music going.
Yeah. It's
Doo-doo-doo.
very.
general.
It's that Clint Eastwood
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
of gunslinger.
Speaking
Yes.
of Clint Eastwood, actually Pedro Pascal said that in his character work, he
studied him?
he studied Clint Eastwood, and he would think to himself like,
Unforgiven,
what would
like, oh.
Clint
No.
do in this moment?
Clint would be squinting behind
like,
the element.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because I saw a lot of Fistful of Dollars, a lot of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, like
Yeah.
a lot of like
Yeah.
the old what's his name? The
Dirty Harry? Something?
No, that's different.
That's different. Oh.
It's all the Western Clint Eastwood did when he was Sergio Leone, like the
Right,
films that he
right,
did
right.
with Sergio Leone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those, that's what I love about it. I mean, I love Westerns and that,
Yeah.
but this is a sci-fi Western.
This one has a slow
Yeah.
build. Like
I
they,
love
they don't
that,
give it
yeah.
all to you at once. You kind of
Right.
work
Yeah.
your way up to these
Yeah.
characters.
And you got a bit of like the monster of the week kind of feel, but it also like built up to something, you know?
Yeah. I feel like
it was
this is
episode. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
it was episodic, but kind of had a tethered connection.
No, I
to
thought it was going to be all
Absolutely.
episodic. I totally thought it was one story. That was. I mean, okay.
Except for
Well,
5
you
and
only
6.
I
watched
might
like 4
have-
of them.
I might have.
skipped.
I might have
5 and
skipped
6.
episodes 5 and 6, which were the fillers.
Right,
But
the fillers.
there was definitely a thread that I could hold on to for sure. I like it because this was pretty much the opposite of The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker to me. Those movies, it's like they couldn't go fast enough.
Right.
You know, they got to just keep out
More stuff has
spewing
to
out
happen.
exposition, blasters. You know, this one was like Baby Yoda blinks. The ship stalls. A bird flies overhead. You know, it's very slow.
He needs a new new armor.
New armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of it was still satisfying to watch for me.
Well, yeah, and to me, I just like I really love the ode to like Seven Samurais and
Right.
these, you know, the writers did excellent work in paying respect to the old Western and samurai films. Like that's, you could tell that they were fans. And
Yeah.
Dave
Yeah.
Filoni needs to take over all of Star Wars. That's the second Dave Filoni thing that we did in the chat. I know, right?
The
Yeah,
only
we-
person that I felt got ripped off during the series was Ming-Na Wen.
Oh
Oh
God.
yeah,
Like,
I didn't even
was
get
a
to see her.
badass for a hot second, like a very hot second.
That
a very
hot
second.
Second.
And
That
then the
entire
second
episode.
faded, and I was very disappointed.
that episode was like, I don't know what's going on here.
I really don't know either.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the characters.
Din Djarin?
Ronda Rousey was in it. Are you guys
No.
like,
No.
what? I'm kidding.
No. I'm just kidding.
I know that's not her name.
what's her name?
Kara.
I'm not.
Kira Knightley. What?
Kara.
Well, the character's name is Cara Dune,
Thank you. Kara Dune was in it.
Yeah.
but the actor is an actual MMA fighter.
Yeah, what's her name?
I don't know the actual. I just
So we know it's not Randa Rousey, but what you guys don't know her
I
real
know.
name.
It's
Gina Carano.
Rousey.
Her name is Gina Carano.
Okay,
Yeah.
there, Gina Carano.
So any of you like older MMA fans who've been watching since like, you know, the early UFCs, you know, who
Since when
Gina
they
Carano
started
is.
letting women fight
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
UFC.
She's like she's like the OG.
Well, she looks
Oh.
good.
Yeah. She was like the breakout star of women's MMA
Oh.
10, 15 years ago. I
Well,
want to
you
say.
could tell she's like an actual fighter because
Right.
she's not like a, I don't
I
know.
mean, she's
Well,
Wayfish.
the size of her biceps is like longer than my face. So
she's
you
been
know.
in Expendables and like
Oh.
a lot of and she was in Deadpool, right?
She was in Deadpool. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
her. So she played the what's his name's Enforcer.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, the
Yeah,
character's name. I just like
throwaway
Gina
character.
Carano. Yes.
Yeah, I know Gina Carano.
It's like her boob slip. He just makes fun of her
Yeah,
boobs.
that's right.
Deadpool. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean Colossus? I can see your.
yeah, that's right. Just fighting her. Like, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
She just hits him.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that was great. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, she's great. I love her in this, and just kind of see how much her acting has improved since
Yes.
she first came on the scene. It's amazing. Like
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
I can't remember her earlier work, but it was just very stiff. But her
Right.
acting has gotten so much
I
better.
mean, you take an MMA star, and I mean, this happens with even wrestlers from like WWE back in the day, and you put them in a film, and it's always like you're not here to watch the acting. But
I'm like thinking about Dwayne Johnson's premiere.
well,
Oh.
he might have been different, but like we're talking about like No Holds Barred and like.
you shut your mouth. That was a great film.
But yeah, she's great, and the character is also interesting. Cara Dune, former Republic shock trooper from Alderaan. So
Alderaan, yeah.
Alderaan.
It's like, how does it feel to not have a planet anymore?
right.
Yeah. And not have not know where your princess is. But this takes place like,
It's 9 years after the Battle of Yavin.
so about 5
5
years after the Return
last-
of the
oh,
Jedi.
Yes, yeah.
And then like it's about 25 years before The Force
Before-
Awakens.
Yeah, before New Order.
Yeah.
So
we're basically seeing like, in Moff Gideon,
yeah,
right? Moff Gideon is like
this
basically
is Giancarlo Esposito's character.
one of like the First Order's like first henchman, I guess.
The OG.
Because
Yeah.
like
OG Nazi.
the Moff, the word Moff is a
It's a title, right?
It's an office. So
Yeah.
like
Short for
Moff
Moff
Tarkin.
Motherfucker.
Badass
Grand Moff
motherfucker.
Tarkin.
Yeah.
So it's basically equivalent of like a general or like an admiral or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, motherfucking general.
Motherfucking general.
Motherfucking general talking.
Next thing you know, it's gonna be Samuel L. Jackson in next.
Wait, he's back? It's not
But
Mace
he's like, but
Windu?
this time he's mop
His
something.
name is just snakes.
Moff window.
Moff
It's just
Windu.
snakes. Moff snakes.
Motherfucking Windu.
On this moth
I'm
plane.
tired of these
Can you
motherfucking
imagine
snakes.
that? Like right there. But it's Samuel L. Jackson. But Samuel L. Jackson be so badass.
I am sick and tired of these muff snakes on this muff plane.
Hashtag Moff Snakes.
Oh my god, I can't. Yo, we
That's a
gotta
lot of
propose a
gotta
new,
do this.
our own offshoot series just on Moff
Yeah,
Windu.
just
Yeah.
do that.
Moff Windu.
Yeah.
Moff Windu.
That's another slash fiction. Right?
Oh,
Or, I mean, like
man.
another
Fan fiction.
Fan fiction.
Friction.
yeah.
Fan friction.
Yeah.
Fan friction.
friction.
Oh man.
So, what do y'all think about Baby Yoda?
Oh, now I know what all the
Hate
memes
him.
are about. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
So cute.
I know.
I mean, like you see it and you instantly know why Mando needs to protect him.
Yes.
Like
Right.
it's just like without question. You're like, you know.
But what
you
if?
gotta-
But what if he's doing
Look
a?
at him!
What if he's doing
He's
a
so
Jedi
cute.
mind trick on Mando to
know,
protect
It'd
him?
be crazy.
Like he's like imprinting on
I-
him.
we don't know actually if it's
I
a him
think-
or her.
I don't know. But like they are a dioecious species. So like there's both males and females and they're
So it's a
morphologically different.
hermaphroditic.
No.
No.
There's two
Dioecious.
Ah,
So sorry.
guys and two.
Gotcha.
My
Because
bad.
we know that
Dioecious.
I heard meow actually.
Because like if we look at the prequels, there is actually a female version of
Yaddle,
Yoda. Yaddle.
right?
Exactly.
Ah, right.
So
Right.
yeah, we just don't know.
I'm just
we
looking
don't
for
know
the.
how many there are or where they
yeah,
come
mysterious
Or they're
spirit
extinct.
species.
You know, it made me wonder because the Mandalorian.
The child, true.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal's character is such a hard ass. What is
Right.
it about this baby that is making him risk his life again and again to save him when all these other
Well-
people don't really care for the baby, you know? It's because he himself has like a foundling mentality. He almost
Right.
feels like that's me. That could have been me. I
He's
have
totally
to save it.
protecting.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And
Well,
like, cute.
I really love that. I love the connection that
Yeah,
they have.
yeah.
And I think like learning about the backstory of the Mandalorians as
He's so cute.
a society of like warriors, you know, like you find out that the foundlings, you know, even the armorer who is basically like the queen of the Mandalorians or whatever,
Of that covert
like
anyway.
she
yeah.
says like the foundlings are the future, you know what I mean?
Right.
So and that's
This is
how
the way.
this is how new Mandalorians are created is by induction, you know.
Right.
So it's actually quite beautiful because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like this is part of their belief system.
I love it.
That has been in place. Like he truly does believe like I was saved as a child.
Yes.
Therefore
So I
I
must
must
To protect
Save
the-
this
And
one.
then
Yeah.
she charges him with the child's safety.
Right.
Yes.
Like after, at the end of the series or the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
So
My,
I mean,
my favorite part was when Pedro Pascal. I'm just gonna keep calling. His name is what?
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin and Cara Dune are arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then Baby Yoda thinks that
Force
they're
chokes
fighting.
her.
And he force chokes her because he's trying to protect Mando. So cute.
I was like, ah!
It was so funny.
Such a cute choking.
so cute. Yeah.
The
He
craziest
was
thing
like,
about Baby Yoda, the child, to me, is that it's all practical.
yeah.
Mm.
No CGI.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
CGI. There's actually a story
So
of
beautiful.
the very first, I guess when they were shooting the first episode, Werner Herzog,
Mhm.
it was a scene with him, or maybe it was one of the other, basically the first time he sees the child, and they had two possibilities, for the child, because they didn't know how it was going to look. So they had the practical, option, which is what we ended up having, but they were also set up for a CG version.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And he basically, Werner Herzog said, why you're being cowards or something like that. Yeah, called him out and was like, you have this, it's going to look fine, make it work
Yeah.
with
yeah.
the practical version.
Damn.
Well,
Thank you,
Yes.
Werner Herzog.
Herzog just stole him
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an expensive puppet. I think the estimate on it was like $5 million.
What?
Yeah.
No. Where are you getting these numbers, Earl?
Some article. I don't know. Somebody.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah,
chat.
I'm gonna guess that's how much it could make in selling merchandise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Pretty confident that might.
Way more than $5 million.
I would have
for
thought it was
merchandise.
less than $1 million.
But we're thinking about because there's going to be a hero one and there's going to be multiples. And then there has to be the development of the puppet itself. So I'm guessing all that is factored into all
Wouldn't
that.
it be cheaper to just do CGI then?
It depends. Yeah, like man hours. We're talking about, you know.
But
How
like,
are they puppeting it?
they're- Huh?
It's
like
probably
the old
It's
what's the name?
handheld or
Yeah.
is it mechanical?
there's probably a little bit of both animatronics and then
Yeah.
I don't think it's
It's Jim
handheld
Hen-
because it's walking.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No.
Oh, but there are different ones used for
Yeah.
the
They're
walking
different
and for
ones,
the
yeah.
close.
I mean the Imagineers, right?
I've
That's what they're called?
actually watched a VFX breakdown just recently,
Mhm.
and they
Right.
talked about that. Anytime you see him walking, that's CGI.
Oh.
Anytime he's just like being held
Emoting.
or whatever, it's
Right.
the puppet.
got it.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
yeah, and then Werner, honestly, it works, and he's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the puppet is.
It's so good.
I didn't even
great, it's so
realize
great.
it was a puppet.
Yeah.
Well, it's
It's
also
so
a lot
great.
nicer to like interact with a puppet
Yes.
with
Acting-wise,
something.
right.
You're
Yes.
like you're interacting with something.
Well,
there.
actually, me and Kershaw, we watched the first episode together, right? And we were like remarking even on like the use of practical effects for like a lot of stuff for the puppetry, even Queel's mouth, which was great. You know,
Yeah.
it did not look like CG at all, or it didn't look fake. It was like way too.
He's a puppet too, right?
He is, yeah.
I love Queel.
So is Quill really gone?
Pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah.
'cause
He
they-
buried him.
He buried him. There was a cairn. So
Did
I
you
mean,
did you remember the gravestones?
yeah.
With
my
his
screen
helmet?
was really dark, so I was having
Oh.
trouble seeing some.
Yeah,
parts.
when Mando leaves the place, he goes back
There's a
to
cairn,
Queel's
yeah.
where he fell, and he buries
buried
him
him.
and puts his helmet on top of the
I
sand.
liked Quill.
So
I know,
Queel
I
is
liked him too.
Nick Nolte.
Nick
No,
Nolte.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that he reprogrammed that IG, the Instagram robot.
Yeah.
So,
but then IG dies again anyway.
IG dies, but at least like he was able to do more than Queel was able to.
I
you
love
know?
when he was like, "Oh, don't be sad. I was never alive." And Mando's like, "I'm not sad." He's like, "Oh,
I'm
you
a
are.
nurse
I'm a
droid."
nurse droid. I've analyzed your voice."
Why couldn't you survive the fight with a mountain? I mean, what?
Oh my goodness. My favorite part of this whole season was when the mask came off.
Yeah.
Just because I was not expecting that. Jacob, someone on our set, on our crew on the way here, he withheld that information from me.
Right.
I'm so glad he did.
Yeah, I said, "Oh, it's probably gonna be a long time until we see him without the helmet." Like that's. And then, but then Jacob said, "Oh, they're totally setting up the whole Chekhov's gun thing, which is
Right.
now
Yep.
that they keep talking about him having the mask on, we're gonna see him eventually without the
Yeah.
mask."
Right.
But I just didn't think it was gonna happen so soon. So when he takes it off for a non-living thing for IG,
Right.
I screamed.
Mhm.
Y'all heard it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. No, it's dope.
Oh,
Dope
sorry.
stuff.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's cool. All right, go ahead.
It was so
else?
lovely.
We're talking about him taking off his mask or like not taking off his mask.
"Okay."
I just when I started watching I would say the first 3 episodes. I just thought
Abram.
it was yeah.
I was like, what is that word from earlier?
It was just weird because I wonder. I'm pretty confident Pedro Pascal.
Pascal's.
Pascal.
Pascal.
Oh, you're
Pascal.
thinking of Inigo Pascual.
Walter.
Racist.
Yeah. No. I'm pretty confident it was like a stunt double that was doing most
A
of
lot
the
of the
walk.
stuff?
Yeah, because I was like,
Wait, really?
to me, and this might be weird. I don't, and if anyone can confirm this, but I'm just like the walking pattern is very
Different
different.
between
You
him
mean it's
and
not
the
him?
stunt double.
Yeah, I think it's
That's
a
not how he
stunt
walks?
double, and then they just do a
Really?
voiceover in some scenes.
Rodney?
I heard an interview where he said most of it's him.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not like stunts or it's
Just
really,
probably
it's-
the hard
it's him.
stuff. Is
Or it's
Well, I
not,
think
it's not
I
what
mean-
PR told him to say.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? Like how much we can really believe,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So obviously, it's like, yeah, it's the same thing. Like all the actors, like they all do their own stunts. Like, yeah, right.
Because I mean,
right?
as a
So like,
producer,
yeah, maybe, but that's what he said. He
Yeah,
said
yeah,
that
no,
most
I
of it is him under the mask doing all that stuff. So
cool, but
yeah,
sometimes when he walks,
but
I'm just like,
maybe that was one of the ways he added his own flair to the Mandalorian because he understood that all of his acting is going to be body language.
yeah,
Right.
Maybe.
So
Right.
maybe.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting when we get to the second season because
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
get like, I mean, we kind of got it in this season, kind of the lone wolf and cub thing,
Mm-hmm.
but like it's gonna go hardcore in second season because it's
Yeah.
gonna be them.
because I just find it funny. Oh, sorry, but like producer wise, like, well, if if I could get a double and pay him less to like walk in with a
You
mask.
would think that, Walter.
Pedro
Right.
Pascal.
Pascal.
Oh no.
Racist.
You guys look up Pedro Pascal.
Why?
If you're wondering, I don't know,
He's
just
a porn star.
help him.
Is it?
It's
His favorite porn star.
It's his favorite.
People, he's all looking at his. He's like,
It's
wow, I
his-
got a lot of hits.
It's actually Walter's porn star name.
Alias.
Yes, check it out.
Pedro Pascal. That's pretty sexy.
Oh yeah,
Eugene.
Yes.
shout out to Eugene Cordero in
Oh yes.
Episode
Come on
4?
our show.
yeah.
And this is one of my favorite episodes because
This is
of
a great
the
episode.
Seven Samurai.
Yeah, it was very Seven
Which part was
Samurai.
Seven Samurai?
No, the whole episode.
The whole
like,
episode.
kind of
Defending the village,
Oh, the
from
village.
like
Oh, okay,
an overwhelming force. They put together a cartoon.
Oh, so-
and all
I
that.
liked this
Have you-
episode.
Yeah, it was good.
yeah, you should go look up Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai.
Have you not seen it?
I've seen Rashomon.
We saw
yeah, yeah.
Rashomon
not the same thing.
I saw the ending
Yeah.
of Seven Samurai.
Oh my god!
Same thing.
Like I was not into black and white films like growing up, but like when I
Racist.
know racist. Like watching that, I was like, oh my god, this is a masterpiece. And you kind of see where a lot of modern films pull from. Like
Well, especially westerns.
right,
And
especially
Quentin Tarantino.
It's
Magnificent Seven
Magnificent
came
Seven
from
is
Seven
straight up
Samurai.
Seven Samurai.
Oh, right.
And just the whole genre of misfit heroes came from Seven Samurai, really.
Well, now we got to have a Seven Samurai night.
Yeah, no, you have to.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to say one last thing, which is that when the IG bot goes like, "I am not a living thing," I got huge like vibes of like Eowyn from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
I am no man.
No man can kill
But
me.
doesn't she take off her helmet or something?
Yeah,
I am
She
no
takes
man.
off her mask.
I am
Or
no
her
man.
helmet.
Like one of
Yeah, her
these.
helmet.
Yeah, and he's like, oh shit.
Which king of Angmar scared?
So, guys, it's March now, right?
March.
Which means we're overdue for a Pangeekery skit. So, which aspect of The Mandalorian do you guys want to recreate for an upcoming episode?
March.
Oh, we'll talk about
We'll
this.
just
I
talk
don't
about it later.
Dibs on Baby Yoda.
Aw, baby
I want to be
Yoda.
Cartoon.
You are baby
You could
Yoda.
be Carden. Yeah,
Can I be Pedro Pascal?
I'll be the IG bot.
Can I be Pedro Pascal? Oh my goodness. I love it.
Yeah, but so I mean, we're talking a lot about Star Wars. What do you feel like Star Wars in itself, like the franchise as a whole, is in trouble? Do you need to fix anything?
Yes.
I think it's been in trouble.
Well,
yeah,
here's
yeah.
the thing. I feel like they can save themselves if they come together with a cohesive narrative, like vision.
If they MCU it,
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like, because right now they're like really just throwing down the rails as the train is going. And like sometimes you can really see the seams of that, you know? I mean, I think you already do see the seams of that. So like if they could come up with like a standard canon for everything and actually think out like the next few items they're going to throw out, I feel like that would be in their best favor.
Weren't there a ton of novels and books that they just kind of threw away when they redid the?
They
I was
should've-
going to say maybe they could have.
the expanded universe stuff.
Yeah, the expanded universe, because those writers have time to actually craft their worlds and their narratives, and it's far
Yeah.
likelier that we'll get a more satisfying movie out of those
like
stories.
Timothy Zahn.
Right, Zahn stuff, the Thrawn stuff.
Yeah, Zahn.
Zod or
was-
Thrawn?
Well, Thrawn's a
Thrawn is
character.
a character. Zahn is an
Oh.
author.
Oh, so he made a
Yeah,
character
yeah.
that rhymed with his last name. Great. Gotcha.
Brilliant.
Mara Jade. Yeah, but that is completely off the table now.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
we actually got Thrawn in Rebels.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
Because they sort of brought back, they took some of Zahn's stuff in like, I forgot, I was reading about this like a couple of weeks ago, but
Right.
I just wish they really took Zahn's writing and made it canon.
Well,
it's tough.
too
I mean,
late for that now.
Yeah, I mean, it's too late. I mean, it's gone.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, just widespread, just nixed everything.
Yeah, but to answer your question, like I think, I don't know, it's in trouble personally for me, but unless they go with what Rian Johnson was going with, which is democratizing the Force and making it, because I don't know, I love like the Mandalorian, and as much as I love the original trilogy, right?
Right.
Original 3. Rogue One. The best films were like Rogue One and Mandalorian, and like the ones that's not related to the Skywalker family.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Episode 1, 2, and 3, and like these last, he's like, eh. But like Rogue One, to me, was like the most interesting and fascinating story, and just the direction and writing was great, and the characters were.
Which kind of piggybacking on what you just said, the most interesting stories in the Clone Wars, like animated series, to me, was all the clone trooper stuff.
Of course.
Like the squad of like the clone brothers and like their trials and tribulations over the course of the Clone Wars. That was super interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, they did literally they brought the character of Anakin back from the dead in terms of like how good of a character he was in Clone Wars, because like, you know, where we left him in
1, 2, and 3.
yeah was
Melting.
yeah, exactly.
But
Was limbless.
I mean, yeah,
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
and if we are gonna go continue the Jedi story, I'd rather see characters that are not Skywalker or Palpatine.
Hell
Same here.
yeah, man.
Same here.
I think like what they were afraid of, I guess, with launching like a giant franchise movie, you know, with 7, 8, and 9 being promised. The trouble was that like they wanted something that would be as influential, as popular, as culturally significant as 4, 5, and 6 without having earned it by creating like deep enough characters and narratives that would warrant that, you know? They just thought that if they could borrow tropes from 4, 5, and 6 with things that we recognize and not actually deepen those, that the same thing would somehow happen. But you can't just create magic in a vacuum, you know? Like you have to actually put in the work to do that.
Right. Well, I think that I feel like, I mean, you know, I'm always like wary to be optimistic about this kind of stuff. But
Are you trying to be optimistic about this stuff?
no.
Are you a skeptic?
What?
What?
But they are working on like several kind of projects, I think, trying in the effort to.
but not led by D&D, right? That got scrapped.
Oh yeah, that got
Well,
scrapped.
that just
You-
ruined my hopes.
Yeah, you remember what happened with that? Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
So who's going to be in charge of these new ones?
Well, I don't know if they have one person attached.
Kaitlyn Fahelan?
Yes.
Taika Waititi? Yes.
Well, there was talks of that. Taika doing that.
Well,
Kevin-
he did like
Kevin
he did the
Feige?
best episode. Yeah.
Deborah Chow and Taika Waititi
yeah.
probably directed the best episodes in the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
Which
We
one
were
did
just talking
Deborah
about that.
Chow do? The third one?
She's
The
3
seventh
and
as
7. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So another thing, I was really sort of pessimistic about the Star Wars franchise.
Right.
But then when Mandalorian came out, I was like, wow, this is where they should go. They can take their
Right.
time. They have Disney Plus. They can explore those things. But then they announced Obi-Wan the series, you know, and then
But
there's
then
also
they
gonna be
delayed
the
it.
Rogue One.
Right.
But then Deborah Chow is going to
supposed
she's going to show run it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
then all these rumors came out, and it's on indefinite hiatus.
Yeah.
They ceased production, or they put
ceased production. They were supposed to. So like, there's still problems, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think they realized like what they did with Mandalorian was like the blueprint to go forward,
Yeah.
and then sort of take more time with the feature
Yeah.
films.
Oh,
but
yeah.
even now,
That's
it's still sort of floundering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that goes with the whole angle of it's still within the Skywalker Palpatine family. Like,
Yeah.
it's like nobody cared for the Han Solo film, really. It's like one of those, and same with Obi-Wan story. Like, do we
It's the
really
same
need
characters.
that? Yeah, same character, same universe. Might run into the same people anyway. So, like, I think people are just fatigued.
Well, there have been some rumors, like the writer director of from Luke Cage, Matt Owens and J.D. Dillard. They're attached to they're rumored to be attached to a new possible film. So like that's something might happen. But also they just announced this past week the High Republic stuff.
Ooh.
So, you know, I being a KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic fan,
Weren't they going to make a KOTOR? series?
that was being rumored as well, but like it seems right.
Oh.
But it seems that they're creating this new thing called Star Wars: The High Republic, and this is primarily going to be storytelling through comics, IDW, Marvel, that kind of stuff. But it's going to tell it's going to be basically the period of the Old Republic when like you know, there were a whole bunch of like Jedi were different, and you know, it was a little more democratized. There were more like the Force was like a little more universal.
You know what I would love to see, as you were saying that, I thought about it, is like, what's the name? Donnie Yen's character in Rogue.
In the Rogue One?
Yeah, Chirrut
Oh,
Imwe.
Chirrut Imwe.
Yeah, like their characters, maybe the
Yeah.
younger versions,
Yeah,
or
that'd be
what
great.
the not cult, but they were, what religion were they? I mean, they were Jedi's, right, or whatever.
They weren't Jedi. They were. It was like
I mean, they
very-
were not Jedi's, but they worshipped the Jedi's or something like, or the crystals.
The kyber
Force.
crystals.
So, but yeah, they were like the monks that protected it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even I would find that interesting. I'd like to see a bigger story on that, the monks that protects the kyber crystal, or that pairing, like when they were younger.
Yeah.
the Guardians of Wills.
There you go.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, and like a younger version of Donnie Yen and his buddy's character, that'd be cool to like, and then the martial arts scenes would be badass.
Oh yeah, dude.
At this point, they owed Rose Tico a story.
Come on.
They
Her and her
owe
sister?
her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
dude.
my
How they ended
God.
up like fighting in the First Order, whatever.
Oh, that'd be a cool like
Mm-hmm.
they're training to become
Right.
rebel, and her
Yeah.
sister being a pilot.
Right.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Lint324 in the chat says 200 years before the Skywalkers. So that's the High Republic. So it's not as old as the Old Republic, which is like 10,000 years
Right.
before.
Oh.
You know, the Skywalkers. And Aaron Nabis in chat says, I think Favreau will definitely play a bigger role overall.
Yeah.
Possibility. I mean, he did showrun
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. So.
yeah. Promotions for
Yeah.
everyone.
Favor gains favor.
It-
Yeah. Well,
That'd be cool.
everyone got involved in Marvel is just basically getting a promotion, like
Basically.
Yeah.
run Star Wars, run big portion of Disney.
Well,
So-
like with these like big franchised things, you really got to have like people on board who have like long-term vision goals
Right.
set for these types of stories, because
Absolutely.
you really can't like once off any of them or like pull something out of a hat and expect that to fly, you know? Like you have to have a very heavily engineered. What's going on? You have to have a very heavily engineered aircraft to like carry your whole narrative series, you know?
Sorry, I totally
Sorry,
forgot to
that
bring
was
this
a
up
metaphor.
earlier, but we have a donation button on our Pangeekery page.
So
what
donate.
what a segue.
I know. I just looked
Speaking
at,
of a carrier ship, that
right, right.
donate button.
Anyway,
Donate.
if you no pressure, if you so feel like
But pressure.
tossing a coin to your Twitcher,
Ooh.
Please do so.
That's worth a
Twitch.
coin right there for
Yeah,
that
come on.
rhyme.
Thought it was click subscribe on
But
your
if you do
Stitcher.
donate-
oh yeah,
But you can toss a coin to your Twitcher.
Twitcher, yes.
Yeah.
Toss a subscribe. What is it?
Toss
Subscribe.
a subscribe.
Subscribe.
It's press subscribe on your
Sorry.
Stitcher.
Press
Yeah.
subscribe on your
And follow
Twitcher.
Pangeekery.
Follow Pangeekery.
And follow Pangeekery.
If you donate more than $100, next episode,
Awesome.
Earl will be shirtless.
I don't
Wait,
think-
wait, what?
What? Yeah, I'm kidding.
I don't think anybody wants
Caitlin's
that.
gonna be shotless? What?
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 I don't think anybody wants Earl shirt.
Do you
Okay.
not? Do you want donations or not? Okay.
Actually, yeah. How many in chat would want me shirtless next stream? Please, no.
I mean,
Everyone's like,
I'm all, yeah.
Do you take Bitcoin? Yes. No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel somewhat hopeful for the
Shirt off.
for the Star Wars series, just because I think they've finally like realized that they can't stay in this direction for too much longer. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever, however this series goes forward, this franchise goes forward, I think it's going to go forward in a different direction.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They now know what does not work.
Yeah, right.
More Skywalker.
I know. That ending of TROS. So I don't know. What did you think about that?
What was
Which
the
part?
ending
Which
again?
part? The
Where she assumed the name Skywalker.
Oh,
I think I just
that's
blocked it
right.
all out like a bad memory.
You know, it's so diametrically different from like the ending of The Last Jedi, where you see the little boy from nowhere having
Right.
force control.
Right.
Right? That versus like Rey going like, oh, I'm a Skywalker.
And I'm going to be
You
a
know,
hermit
like,
in
oh.
Tattooing.
Tatooine. I'm
Oh, that
gonna live
part.
on-
The two sons.
I'm gonna live on Lars farm.
I was very disappointed with that ending. I mean, it's, okay, cool. You're happy, and you're just fulfilling the hermit lifestyle of Obi-Wan and Luke.
Right.
Yeah.
But
What's new?
yeah, whoop-de-doo.
I mean, I will say that like nostalgia isn't enough. Like you have to marry nostalgia with
Right.
imagination and
Yes.
creativity. You know, otherwise, like people are like, well, why can't I just watch 4, 5, and 6 and be done with it? You know?
Agreed.
Again.
Why do I have to watch episode 9? So
You don't.
And I'm like, yeah.
That's your answer.
Youch.
You don't have to watch it.
And just watching that, I was like, yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. I just really. It doesn't open it up for anything else in the future.
Nope.
Like, because if you went with Ryan Johnson's vision,
Right.
there
It could've
might
kind
be
of-
an
kind of-
upcoming hero or whatever that's like.
Which I think is why they're taking the hard turn to the High Republic. Yeah. So
All right.
anyway,
all right.
we are wrapping it up. So I know we evidently still have a lot of stuff to say, but
As always.
Lynn324 says I want more Finn and Poe, Ray, Finn, Poe. I could watch that. Ray, Finn,
Finn.
Poe.
A threesome?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Me too.
Yeah.
The Three Musketeers.
Three Musketeers. I could watch that. Anyway, thank you everybody for being in chat. Shout out to Tony Beans, Aaron Navis, Lynn324. That's it. I think yeah. Shout out to you, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pangeekery podcast. Hit us up on all the socials at Pangeekery. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. here on twitch.tv/Pangeekery. If you feel like throwing a coin to your Twitcher or hitting subscribe on your Stitcher, please do both of those things. We'll be here. And thank you to the cast, to the crew. Thank you to PwC for housing us in this awesome space, pwcsc.org. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
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 Adios.